Mitroman Bandhuvo, this is Dr. J. Reddy from South Asia Maps Human Ecology part. South Asia Maps is an intellectual Kshatriya channel, education channel. Most of the time I post on Indic related issues, but once a while I will be also posting on generic geography and human ecology issues. In this part we'll talk about part 6. You can see when you see this particular icon, that is the ecology, you can always see the difference. Ecological exuberance we'll talk about. Emotional exuberance. Ecological exuberance leads to emotional exuberance. A social exuberance, that is a political exuberance. After this presentation you will get a very good clarity, and when you see the current contemporary politics and social society, you can start distinguishing why it is happening like that. Ecological exuberance, emotional exuberance. We are talking about human ecology, that is the humans are influenced, they live in a habitat like any other animals. Human animals are also influenced by their habitat environment called ecology, relation between humans and the surrounding called habitat, home, the village or town or city where you live. The predicament, dilemma we have today, that is the human impasse. Dr. Catton's work of overshoot, population overshoot. That means there is an excess population has overshot, overshooted, and it is erupted. There are so many humans on the planet Earth today. This is the only living island on the entire spaceship, the planet Earth. There is an overshoot that is resulting into the BottleNeck century. All these concepts will get a clarity as we move further and further in the presentation. Here we see the Europe round about 1500 or so. The Europeans has the age of voyage or age of discoveries, it is called. Age of explorations, lot of explorations. Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, Amerigo Vespucci and Magellan, all those people, they made transatlantic voyages, Portuguese and Spaniards mostly, and they discovered the new world, the new hemisphere, that is the Western hemisphere. This is the old world, old hemisphere. What essentially they found was, when they discovered there is a virgin soil, very few number of people, there was no agriculture there much of North America, they are pastoralists, hunters and gatherers. They found the lavish resources. When the organism, human animals, colonize a new resource, they have now the more carrying capacity, more people can live there in this newfound habitat. North America, Central America, South America. The freely expanding population has a plenty of carrying capacity. It developed an exuberance. This exuberance is due to ecological exuberance, because for this organism, European settlers, colonizers, new habitat, virgin soils, virgin forests, plenty of coal later, plenty of oil, minerals, metals were made available. That ecological exuberance led to political exuberance, social exuberance. They start talking about the liberty, democracy. That's why United States developed. When the United States were formed around about 1776 or so, that is very small portion of United States at the time, 13 or 14 colonies. There are hardly 4 million people. Then by the time the Lincoln died, around about 100 years we can say, 1774 to 1764 or so, 1864 Lincoln died, they expanded coast to coast till the population was 30 million. 1865 Lincoln was assassinated. 65, right? You have 35 remaining. That's what the population of United States, 31 million or so. You can roughly remember. 1865 and 30 million. Still 30 million people, plenty of carrying capacity. Surplus was there, carrying capacity, excess was there. There was still ecological exuberance that gave to political exuberance, that gives to emotional exuberance. Now we are in the post-exuberant era. Exuberance died in the United States, even though people are not still aware of it. It is called cultural lag. That means still they are thinking the old paradigm, old way of thinking, even though there is no exuberance. That means now there are nearly 330 million people. When Lincoln died in 1865, assassinated 30 million people, 31. And after Kennedy's assassination, or Nixon took over 63 or something like that, and Ford, there were around about 200 million people. Now 350 million people. For the entire planet, humans, there is no more land to discover. So we are heading for a disaster. If we do not curb this population, almost 8 billion, 8,000 million people on the planet Earth. This is the only one planet. Earth is an island in the entire universe where the habitat is present for the living organisms to survive. So social exuberance, ecological exuberance leads to social exuberance and political exuberance. When you see recently, when you notice some of your friends and co-workers who they go and work in the United States, come back, they bring this type of exuberance, social political exuberance. They want democracy in India. They want this rights, that rights. I am not saying we should not want it, but that is essentially a carryover. Ecological exuberance, excess carrying capacity, is necessary for these things to happen. In a poor resource depleted world, there will be no exuberance. People will be struggling very hard to make the ends meet, because now there is no ecological exuberance. We are in the post-exuberant era. That means after the World War, or most precisely we can see after 1970s. A lot of Indians and Chinese who go to the abroad and work there, they are now in the neo-exuberant era, the declining, the twilight era. So still they carry the same legacy. So that is what about if you start talking with them and their ideas and think like that, they want the same type of the systems implemented in Africa, Asia, and so on. This is a carryover conditioning thinking. This is the about why this happens means America developed the democracy, all those policies and systems developed because at that time there is very less people, there are plenty of land, everybody can enjoy equality, liberty, and so on, and do the things you like. That was ecological exuberance due to excess carrying capacity surplus was present. Now there is no carrying capacity surplus. Now America, the Western Hemisphere, is also a old world. In the old world, there used to be, before Europeans colonized the New World, plenty of people. Whereas when they go to New World, there is less people, there is plenty of jobs. New World means plenty of jobs. Old World means plenty of people. Now the New World has become the old world, that is the Americas, Australia, New Zealand, so on. So there is no more carrying capacity excess in any part of the planet Earth. So that's what you have to remember. Ecological exuberance, carrying capacity surplus, gives a type of system that gives the emotional exuberance, social exuberance, political exuberance. That's what Dr. Catton discusses very elegantly in his Overshoot book and BottleNeck book. That's what we talked about today. This is your presenter Reddy. See you later in other presentations. And if you have not access to my main YouTube channel, South Asia Maps J Reddy, please go there, and there are more than 195 or so well documented presentations with very intuitive maps and images and icons are present, and you can look at them. I will be putting this particular presentation because of ecology in the human ecology part, so you can access that. And if you are listening me on the share chat, please do take time to make certain comments so I will get a feedback from you. See you later in other presentation.